Hey you lot, and welcome to another episode of News You Might Have Missed. I'm your host Tom Lord, and on this show we look at a mighty mix of eclectic excerpts ranging from news outlets, blogs and tabloid rags based around the globe. On today's show we've got New York's AI chatbot tells businesses to break the law, a Spanish train driver leaves 80 passengers behind after he didn't feel like working, and a truck crash accidentally sets 77,000 salmon free. But first, the British Army is ending its centuries-old ban on beards. According to Le Guardian, a message to troops was issued with an update that allows for neat growth over the Easter break. According to its terms though, only a full beard is allowed, and it must be between 2.5mm and 25.5mm long, and trimmed off the cheekbones and neck. The British Army's policy though has stated there must be no patchy or uneven growth, and also no exaggerated colours. But before the army said anything, the decision itself had to be approved by the King. But this came after a review which said that most servicemen and women said they wanted the rule changed, and Defence Secretary Grant Shapps said that banning beards in the army was ridiculous and it was time to modernise. I'm really glad that the British Army is warming to beards. It's not that long ago that the only beards that were allowed were the women they kept to hide their flamboyant secrets. New York's AI chatbot tells businesses to break the law. According to themarkup.org, the Microsoft-powered chatbot says bosses can take workers' tips and that landlords can discriminate based on the source of income. Apparently in October, New York City officials announced a plan to harness the power of artificial intelligence, and this included this AI chatbot. It was supposed to provide New Yorkers with information on starting and operating a business in the city. But 5 months after its launch, the information it provided was often incomplete, and in worst cases, dangerously inaccurate. People could pose questions like, do I have to accept tenants on rental assistance? And the bot would say no. But in New York City, it's illegal for landlords to discriminate by source of income. I'm all for the machines taking over if it includes a little bit of law breaking. Not major stuff obviously, like financial crime or a touch of genocide. Slap on the wrist sort of stuff, A random loose saw blade almost hits an Oregon man. According to RTL News, footage from a security camera shows the man walking into a store and closing the door behind him, just before the saw blade flies straight to that spot. And if it had been a few seconds later, it would have probably ended very differently. On Twitter, or X, the incident is compared to the Final Destination films, in which people die in unusual ways. Look at this video. Look at the size of that saw blade! The bloke himself told ABC News, all he heard was a loud bang. Then there was further shouting down the road, and then he saw the blade coming straight towards him. And the saw blade hit the building with such force, the entire store shook. I think after that experience, I'd need a new set of undercrackers and possibly a new set of jeans. I mean, it's like Crash Bandicoot in real life, but instead of a massive boulder, it's a massively spinning violent steel thing. A man has admitted to stealing a £4.5 million toilet. According to Sky News, the 18-carat gold toilet vanished from Blenheim Palace in September 2019 after being installed as an art piece called America. That is a nice gold bog though. The toilet was installed in Blenheim Palace, the birthplace of Sir Winston Churchill, as part of Italian concept artist Maurizio Catalan's first solo exhibition in 20 years. But after it was stolen, Thames Valley Police previously charged 4 men, and now one of them has pleaded guilty. James Sheen from Wellingborough pleaded guilty to burglary, converting or transferring criminal property, and conspiracy to do the same at Oxford Crown Court on Tuesday. Sheen is already serving a 17-year sentence for a string of thefts, and his past crimes include stealing £400,000 worth of tractors and trophies from the National Horse Racing Museum. I'm not being funny, but where was he going to weigh it in? Imagine that in cash converters. Well, it says on here it's worth about 4.5 million quid, but best we can do is 60 quid cash and 100 quid store credit. How's about that? This year's coal carrying championships has attracted 400 competitors. According to the BBC, the event in Gawthorpe near Ossett, real places by the way, sees runners haul sacks of coal across a distance of 1,012 metres. And the 400 people at the event included 200 children. Traditionally, men carried 50kg sacks of house coal and women carried 20kg sacks from the Royal Oak pub to the village's Maypole Green. However, committee president Duncan Smith said that this year they had to move from house coal to anthracite because house coal has been banned from sale for environmental reasons. Apparently the race itself has been held each Easter Monday and began as a bit of banter between men in a local pub in 1963. And since then, people from all over the world have took part. And Phil, a former winner of the men's open race in 2007, said after the race, "I'd love to say I enjoyed it, but I hated every minute of it. It was absolutely brutal, and I now remember why I hadn't done it in the last 16 years. Well, it's not quite cheese rolling, but I'll allow it. We're a weird little kingdom, aren't we? Launching trees about in Scotland and minting around the pole in the south, and up north we throw black puddings. Rule Britannia?" A person has been diagnosed with bird flu after coming in contact with cows in Texas. According to AP News, the patient was being treated with an antiviral drug and their only reported symptom was eye redness. And Texas health officials have said the person had been in contact with cows presumed to be infected and the risk to the public remains low. This apparently marks the first global instance of a person catching this type of bird flu from a mammal. But at the moment there's no evidence of a person-to-person spread or that anyone has become infected from milk or meat from livestock, and genetic tests don't suggest that the virus suddenly is spreading more easily or that it's causing more severe illnesses. And current antiviral medications still seem to work. So if we can keep this from not being a pandemic, that would be great. After the whole scramble for bog roll and sudden death of family members, I'm pretty cool with it being a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Ta! Rubbish from the International Space Station may have fallen on a house in Florida. According to Ars Technica, this cylindrical object, a few inches in size, fell through the roof of Alejandro Otra's home in Florida last month. Apparently, in all likelihood, this nearly 2-pound object came from the International Space Station, and Otero said it tore through the roof and both floors of his 2-story house in Naples. Otero wasn't home at the time, but his son was, and his Nest home security camera captured the sound of the crashing object around about 2:34 local time. That's an important piece of information because it's a close match for the time that US Space Command recorded re-entry of a piece of space debris from the space station, and at that time the object was on a path over the Gulf of Mexico heading towards southwest Florida. The space junk is said to have consisted of batteries from the ISS attached to a large cargo pallet that was originally supposed to come back to Earth in a controlled manner. But delays meant this cargo pallet missed its ride back to Earth, so NASA jettisoned the batteries in 2021 to head for an unguided re-entry. And since then, NASA has recovered the debris from the homeowner. Sure, your son nearly got smushed by a massive piece of space junk, but there is upsides. A, it's even less likely to happen again. B, who else has had a massive piece of space junk come through the house? And C, free skylight! A Spanish train driver left 80 passengers behind after he didn't feel like working. According to RTL News, the driver abandoned the train when he felt like he'd worked enough. He parked the train at a small station and left. And then after he was long gone, a message appeared on the screens: "The train driver's working day is over." The incident happened the evening before the Easter weekend. The train was on a route from Madrid to Lyon, but stopped 61 kilometers short of its final destination. But before he left, the driver announced the train could not continue because the track between Chagan and Lyon was blocked. But it was later that passengers read on screens that the driver left because his hours were up and they had to use alternative transport. But Renfe, the Spanish state-owned train company, defended its driver by reporting that he indeed had too long of a working day, and that earlier in the day he had driven a train that was delayed by 88 minutes. As a result, his schedule changed and he had indeed exceeded his maximum working hours. All the passengers though were eventually picked up by buses, but this was 2 hours later. I do get it, I'm not an onion, and part of me thinks, yeah, Saddam, they're only passengers, and it's not my fault that the company's mismanaged, but at the same time, as a passenger, I'd be hopping mad. There should have been a replacement train driver, but maybe that train driver was also delayed by a similar situation. British bakery staff have started wearing bodycams to combat sausage roll theft. According to the Standard, the London Bridge branch is among branches of the chain that will see staff wearing the technology, and this is also due from a rise in threats from customers. The bakery chain is trialling the use of this deterrent in some of its busiest stores, and a sign will warn customers outside that the cameras are in use. The sign will read, "To ensure the safety of our customers and colleagues, We're trialling body-worn cameras in the shop. Audio and video will be recorded, and an unverified source told the paper the cameras were introduced as staff were getting worried they could be attacked, and everyone's noticed there's more shoplifting. But if it was filmed on a body cam, there's more chance that they would be put off trying. Funnily enough, a mate of mine used to smuggle sausage rolls. I probably shouldn't say that now, his husband is an MMA fighter. The US F-35 Lightning is finally cleared to fly in Lightning after 4 years. According to Air Force Times, the military stopped F-35As from flying within 25 miles of Lightning after a problem was discovered with its onboard inert gas generation system, which is meant to keep the jet safe from strikes. This system apparently pumps nitrogen-enriched gas into the fuel tanks and stops the fuel tanks exploding if it's hit by lightning. But in 2020, engineers in Utah found that one of the tubes that distributes the gas into the fuel tanks was damaged, and subsequent inspections found problems with tubes in other F-35s, and the military restricted it from flying near lightning until a fix could be developed. For some reason, the F-35Bs and Cs were not affected. In a statement, Lockheed Martin said, "The F-35 remains the most capable aircraft in providing global 21st century security that protects the US and our allies." BAE, who made the system, weren't immediately available to comment. The most advanced jet fighter in the world then, and it only took them 4 years to solve a lightning strike issue. Great success. Who made the plane? The same people who made Wile E. Coyote's contraptions. A San Francisco man's washing machine is using 3.6 gigabytes of data every day, according to Newsweek. In a post on Twitter with more than 7 million views, Johnny Lee's washing machine has shown a 3.6 gigabyte daily usage, and approximately 3 gigabytes of data is equivalent to streaming a high-definition video for an hour. Apparently following the spike in internet usage, the washer has now calmed itself down, but LG has said it's still committed to finding the underlying cause. Internet usage at all by these sort of machines is all down to the smart functions, which allow users to control and monitor their washing machine remotely. But because this guy's a massive nerd like me, he stumbled upon the anomaly while troubleshooting issues with his home network. He said, "I was looking through router logs to see what devices were using the most bandwidth, and besides the usual suspects, I noticed my LG washing machine had the 4th highest usage data for the week. This was highly suspicious. I've got a theory on this data use. This mad mother washer's been on CleanHub regular, looking up hot and juicy drums with a 1200 spin setting, and of course, big loads." Amazon's futuristic Just Walk Out technology turned out to be thousands of Indians watching you shop. According to Business Standard, as many as 1,000 workers in India were tasked with reviewing what customers had picked up and ultimately walked out with from Amazon's Just Walk Out enabled stores. The company said the technology was driven by computer vision. However, it was found a significant portion of sales had to be reviewed by a team in India. The report said that 700 out of every 1,000 Just Walk Out transactions were verified by these workers. But a spokesperson said the India-based team only assisted in training the model used for Just Walk Out, and Amazon associates may also validate a small minority of shopping visits where our computer vision technology cannot determine with complete confidence an individual's purchases. Fair play to Amazon for thinking outside of the AI box. And in completely made-up news, Amazon's new self-driving car will need 3 square meals a day, a 15-minute break every 8 hours, and regular fluid draining. A mystery tunnel has appeared 450 metres away from a Paris prison. According to The Guardian, a mysterious tunnel was found in southern Paris during routine electrical works, although police sources have said it does not appear to be part of an escape plan. The discovery was made on Tuesday by Enedis, the company that manages France's electrical distribution network. They found bags of rubble and a bed, and Guillaume Durand, an official, said it's a 4-metre tunnel in a cul-de-sac on Rue de la Sante, more than 500 metres from a prison. Police believed it's something that would facilitate the arrival at the catacombs, and therefore the work of cataphiles, who are clandestine catacomb explorers. And he said that officials had sent an engineer to the site to fill the hole in. That bit from police sounds exactly like what members of the Fast and the Furious franchise would say, disguised as police, just before a heroic but completely unrealistic breakout of a prisoner. Does anyone know where Vin Diesel is right now? A French couple who kept 159 cats have been banned from keeping pets. According to the BBC, The French couple have been given a 1-year suspended sentence for keeping 159 cats and 7 dogs in their 80 square metre flat. The animals were found living in filth last year, with many suffering from malnutrition, dehydration, or just infection with parasites. The judge presiding on the case said the couple had failed to take appropriate care of the animals. Obviously, the couple, a woman 68 and a 52-year-old man, were issued with a permanent ban on keeping pets and ordered to pay more than €150,000 to animal rights charities and civil parties. This was after last year police intervening at a dispute at the couple's flat, where they discovered dozens of animals in each room, and authorities reported animal excrement everywhere. They even found the bodies of at least 2 cats and 2 dogs in a bathroom. Where did the animals eat? Where did they sleep? Where did they do the business other than just everywhere on the floor? How would you even live there? The smell of that place must have been like an oil fire at a fish dock. A truck crash accidentally set 77,000 salmon free. According to the BBC, a truck carrying 102,000 live salmon crashed last week on a creek bed. The young Chinook, also known as king salmon, were being taken from the Looking Glass hatchery in the state's north to the Imna River, where they are listed as threatened, but the crash caused 77,000 of the fish to go into the Looking Glass Creek, boosting the population of that waterway instead. Wildlife officials said on Tuesday that a particularly tight turn caused the driver to lose control, with the fish tanker then rolling down a rocky embankment. But unfortunately, over 25,000 salmon, which are around 2-year-old, died either inside the truck's tanker or on the creek bank. But the 77,000 young salmon in the Looking Glass Creek will likely lead to around 350 to 700 additional adults returning there. And a hatchery coordinator said, "This should not impact our ability to collect future broodstock or maintain full production goals in the future." Something a bit fishy about this. Sounds like an Ocean's 11 style heist, only with salmon and tankers and absolutely nothing to do with Ocean's 11. Am I having a stroke? A man has pled guilty for stealing his former co-worker's identity for over 30 years. According to Ars Technica, a high-level Iowa hospital systems administrator, Matthew Kierans, admitted to stealing a co-worker's identity and posing as William Donald Woods for more than 30 years. On top of using Woods' identity to commit crimes and rack up debt, Kieran's elaborate identity theft scheme led to Woods' incarceration after Kieran's accused his victim of identity theft, and LA authorities failed to detect which man was the true William Donald Woods. According to the Register, Kieran's may face up to 32 years in prison and must pay a fine of $1.25 million. Apparently Kieran's met Woods in about 1988, when they worked together at a hot dog stand in New Mexico. Then for the next 3 decades, Kieran's used Woods' identity in every aspect of his life, including when obtaining employment, insurance, a social security number, driver's licenses, titles, loans, and credit. Kieran's even got married and had a child using Woods' name. And Woods only discovered the identity theft in 2019 when he was homeless and discovered he had $130,000 in debt to his name. Woods attempted to close the bank accounts that Kieran's had opened, and that's when the Kierans went on the defense, successfully pushing Woods to get arrested to conceal Kieran's decades of identity theft. I had my identity stolen once, but joke's on them, they got landed with some sweet, sweet child liability. I haven't seen those kids since 2010. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe if you do so fancy. Also, if you think there's any news that we might have missed, please get in contact on the email in the description below. See you next time for another jam-packed news you might have missed. Stay gravy.